Hasn't finished yet. See us on March 15th. Watch him do his work.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys, man, for taking time out your busy schedule. I know Saturday's your day.
Yes.
Yes.
You talking
No,
about
Yes, and I'm so happy.
nails, hair,
Yeah. All of
no,
that.
do nothing. Nothing.
nothing to do nothing. Oh
But
yeah.
thank
Well,
you so
well, well
much
Lowe's,
for
and
asking
Lowe's
us.
until because I don't see Rick on, so until he comes on, does anybody from Kim? Do you have any parting words before we close out?
I'm just so excited, excited, excited. And Keisha, I love you. I love the cast. I love everybody. And remember, love conquers all.
There you go.
That's right, Joyce.
I love you, Keisha. Mother Mayo is my partner. I love her too because she can bring out things in you too. Yes.
I just
But
like to say I
I'm
love your
excited. She not
spirit, Pastor
finished.
Moore. Go
I
ahead,
am
Pastor.
excited. I am excited. I can't wait for March 15th. That is all sold out. Love conquers all.
All right,
Praise God.
Evangelist Mayo.
Can I say, I just love your heart, Pastor Moore. Praise God. And when I first met you, I said, "Oh, she don't like me." I told Keisha
I
that.
was like, who? Trees don't
Well,
like somebody?
no, no, no. That's what I felt like. But I said, but I want you to know that I love you and I thank you for helping my baby out. Praise God. I thank you. You're not a pastor, Low, but I thank you for having Keisha on. And I think my cat, that's not my cast, but Keisha's cast, this one who got, I can't give the play away, but God bless you, Joyce. And and Kim, the Miss Sassy, I just love her to death. So you'll pray for me. God bless you.
Yeah.
No, I know you love me, Pastor Moore. I know you love me.
Oh yeah. And he's my pastor. All right.
Okay.
He's my covering. He's my covering.
Amen.
Elder Lowe's he was an elder before I was.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, and so I follow his footsteps, but he is my covering, my head.
That's good.
And,
Yeah.
and so I always tell people, regardless of whatever that title is in the church, he's still my person who I seek after. Oh, I see
Amen.
Amen.
our next guest is on. So Keisha, give us your final marks so that we can get our next guest in.
Well, I just want to say I'm so glad to be on the show today, and thank you again, Elder Lowe's, because I kept calling you Minister Lowe's or Elder Lowe's. I love my castmates. I love my cast. I love you, Pastor Moore, and I just can't wait until March 15 because we are sold out. God is an awesome God. He's a good God, and I'm looking for a mighty move of God on the 15th. So those of y'all that's watching, keep track. Go to KeishaMail.com or reach out to see when the next show is going to be so you can get your tickets on time. God bless you.
All right. God bless you guys.
God
Love
bless
you.
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Break a
Love
leg
y'all.
next week.
Okay, Lowe's, you want to go?
Yeah, we getting ready to bring on our next guest, the legend,
You
one of the
understand?
75 greatest players in the history of NBA basketball, one of my all-time favorites. Well, we got Mr. Rick Barry on the Blueprint podcast this morning, and I'm excited that he's here. I got a lot to say to him as well.
Do you want to start with this video?
Yeah, let me show you this video real quick, and then I'll pop them on.
Three of the NBA Championship Series between the Golden State Warriors and the Washington Bullets. Reardon has a taxing job of watching Barry as Rick fires and hits. Back comes Kevin Porter.
When that young man scores with this team, they really go. And
Rick Barry has not missed a free throw against Washington. Deflected ball picked up by Ray. Barry alone to the basket. A tremendous move away from the ball when Barry's man jumped off.
Well,
That's the Warriors up by. Patiently goes to Barry, who again swings under, hits it. He was fouled. Rolls, he has Porter ahead of him. Barry back on defense. Barry will block.
good block that time. But A good try by Porter. He tried to go in and get the foul, but Rick made a good defensive play.
Berry. There, Wilkes with a rebound. Berry down court. Pass and a basket.
Good play by Golden State. Rick Berry switch off on Anso.
Down the tap. Last 5 seconds. He wants Witherspoon. There. Witherspoon watching in. Berry wants to make a move and squeeze it. It signals the play. From behind the end line, they burn him again, and it's Berry.
Back to Freeman. Now Berry puts it up. And for the first time in the game, the ABA takes the lead. By Wise, up court it goes to Rick Berry. Goodrich is there to stop him. But Berry puts it up from the corner. And now the ABA takes a 7-point lead, 20-13. And 6 points for Rick Berry. Hurrying now for the last shot of the pass as he goes to Hawkins. Blocked by Berry. Willie Wise puts something up.
Awesome. Good morning, Rick.
Well, good morning. I didn't realize I never missed a shot when I played.
Hey, that's what it seemed like when I was watching you.
Yeah, well, nice to talk to you. I apologize, but I'm fighting off this whatever's going around. I've had something for like 2 weeks that I've been fighting. So, but we're good to go.
Yeah. That's what my wife is doing. She's at home now. She's at Mount Vernon, New York. I'm in Connecticut at the Big East tournament up at the Mohegan Sun.
Okay.
And so my son-in-law is the associate head coach of St. John's women's team.
Oh, nice boy. Patino's doing a hell of a job there, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's doing it. I always say Coach Patino is the greatest player development coach I've seen in a while. We don't do it like old school no more, but he still does it like that.
Well, the problem with today's game is that the young people are getting shortchanged. A lot of this AAU stuff is not good for them. They're not being taught the fundamental principles and concepts of what the game is all about. And they have all this amazing God-given talent, and they're never going to utilize it as well as they should because they don't understand how to use it properly. It's really a shame because there's a lot of guys in the NBA now that are tremendous players making millions of dollars who should be better players, but they weren't taught how to play the game the right way, and I feel badly for them. So that's the one thing that's disappointing to me about the game today. But the athleticism of the players, just off the charts.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to say this real quickly. In 1975, 76, I was a senior in high school, right? And I have watched you play in the ABA, right? I think with the Nets, and you were a tremendous player then, and you were an amazing player in the NBA, and you won the championship that year. I mean, a lot of people don't know. I don't know that people said when the year started in the NBA the Golden State Warriors were going to win the NBA championship.
No,
And Rick,
everybody said that. Everybody said we sucked and we wouldn't even be a playoff team and we were a joke. That's why it's the greatest upset in the finals if major sports in the United States. And I defy anyone to find a team that was so ill-respected, had nobody cared about us, nobody thought we'd do anything, and then to get to the finals and surprise everybody, and then say, "Oh, this is the biggest mismatch in the history of the finals. They're going to get swept." Well, they got the sweep part right. They just got the wrong team.
yeah, I'm glad you. That's the one thing I loved about you because you tell it like it is, right?
Yeah,
And
well, it probably cost me my job broadcasting because back when I was talking, that you had to be a shill. It's like you only could say good things about what was happening. Hey, there's good and bad things that happen in every game. I wasn't negative to be negative. I was negative to be informative, telling you what was good, what was bad, what should have been done. And unfortunately, that was not the way that they that nowadays. Stephen A. Smith is making a ridiculous amount of money, and all he's doing is just telling everybody how bad they are and how this is bad and that's bad, and he's making $100 million. So, timing's everything in life, Lowe's. Timing's everything in life.
yes, it is. And I tell you, you could literally. I mean, it's some things that make players great. You can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have a mindset, right? Everybody needs a dog in the house, right? You were the dog in the house, right? You need somebody who's going to tell his teammates where they go, what they need to do, and how to keep their game straight, right? Going to get on them when they need to get on them. And you were that guy, man. You played with a chip on your shoulder. You played hard every single night. You could shoot the heck out of the ball,
Well,
right?
let me just interrupt you there. First of all, I didn't play with a chip on my shoulder. I played with extreme confidence in my abilities. I believed in my talent and my skill. I worked, and it wasn't even work. I put just an incredible amount of time into developing my game. In high school, when I finally committed to basketball, I would spend the entire day in the summertime out at the playground. I get my breakfast, my mom would fix lunch, and she wouldn't see me to dinner time. If nobody was there, I'd just drill all day long. If somebody showed up, I'd play all day long. And so I played with great confidence, which is important in life. In fact, to me, there's a lot of qualities you can talk about that are important for people to be successful in life. And you can talk about perseverance, dedication, determination. I can go down a long list. The most important quality you need to have to really be able to maximize your full potential and be as good as you can be is you have to believe in yourself. You have to have confidence in yourself and your ability to do what it is that you train to do. If you get to that point, you will eliminate one of the most overused words in sports that I go nuts every time I have to listen to it. Oh, the pressure's really on. Oh, pressure this, pressure that. Trust me, I never felt pressure in my life on a basketball court because I had confidence in my ability to do what I was asked to do, what I'm supposed to do, what I trained to do. You are in life, regardless of what business you happen to be in, what profession, you will be faced with critical situations where you're being asked to perform at an exceptionally high level. Those situations can become pressure if you lack the confidence in yourself to do what you're supposed to do. And so I didn't lack that confidence. So I'd never felt pressure in my life. And it's just, to me, I go crazy when I hear that. There is no pressure unless you allow it to exist.
Right. And I was looking at, some of the things that you actually accomplished. I mean, you're talking about in college, man, you averaged like 36 points a game. What, your senior year?
Yeah, I know, 36, 37, whatever it may have been. But this is in the 1960s, the early 1960s, no three-point shot. Our team averaged 98 points a game. Think
Wow.
about that.
Mm.
98 points a game with no three-point shot. If we had a three-point shot with the shooters and my teammates that I had, we would have scored 110 points a game. We are unbelievably juggernaut offensively and had so many guys who were great shooters. We would have crushed people with the three-point shot if we played. I mean, we had a great team. Unfortunately, we were on probation for some stupid reason and couldn't go to a postseason tournament, but I think we were 26-4 or 22-4, something like that for the regular season. You didn't play as many games back then. And a couple of the losses we had, we were hosed. We got screwed out of a win in Florida State. Not that I remember this stuff. Screwed out of a win. Screwed out of a win in Houston, Texas, which to tell you how bad it was. One of the officials' first name was Homer. That'll give you an idea how that went. And then we had another game that we lost at the Palestra in Philadelphia, where it's like playing against 7 people when you go to play there. We had a hell of a basketball team, and we never got to go to the postseason tournament that year.
Wow. Yeah. And then you end up did you start in the ABA or the NBA?
No, I started. I was the first pick for the Warriors. The Warriors and the Knicks flipped a coin. It's the only time it's ever happened. The worst team in the West and the worst team in the East flipped a coin, and they allowed the winning team to pick first and fourth in the draft. The Knicks won. They picked first and fourth. They took Bill Bradley. They should have taken me, but they didn't. And they took Bradley, and they took Dave Stallworth with number 4. The Warriors took Fred Hetzel and myself. Now, I don't know for certain whether or not they chose me with the second pick or the third pick. It was irrelevant because they had both picks. But if they only had one pick, I don't really know if they would have taken me over Hetzel or not. But bottom line is they had 2 picks, so it was kind of irrelevant at the time. And that never has happened before in the league. They've never done that before. So it was a really unique situation. And back in those days, the NBA had something called territorial draft rights. So if a player was going to college within a certain area of where the team was located, that team had territorial rights to be able to draft that player should they choose to do so. That stopped obviously down the road, and of course Bill Bradley was playing at Princeton, so they had territorial rights to him, but that didn't mean they had to take him. And I was kind of surprised because they already knew he wasn't going to play. They already knew he was going to he was a Rhodes Scholar, so he was going to England to go and study. And so the Knicks drafted him knowing they wouldn't even get him. And I can tell you right now, because Ned Irish, the owner of the team, said, he was asked, why didn't you draft Rick Barry? I led the league in score, the nation in scoring, and, was one of the top players. And he said I was too skinny and flaky. Well, I never forgot that. Now, he may have been right, but I never forgot that. And let me tell you, I had a lot of really big scoring games against the Knicks in my career. I'm not a vindictive person, but I also have the memory of an elephant.
Well, here's the key. Well, you got well, I would say Michael Jordan had a lot of you in him, right? When you played with that
when Michael put his uniform on, you were getting the best that Michael Jordan had to offer every game, and I was that way too. That's what I take pride in. People ask me, what would you like to be remembered as? I'd like to remember it as a player who every time he put his uniform on, he played his hardest and gave everything he had to the game.
I can attest to that, man. I mean, look at the greats up there in that picture, right? The only players with back-to-back 40 games in the 40 points in the finals. There's some great players up there. Shaq, Jordan, Jerry West, LeBron James. And, people today would say, I know the logo. I know Michael Jordan. I know Shaq. I know LeBron. But who's the guy over there on the left side? I mean, they don't, they intentionally you're underrated. And then you play with the Wizards. I mean, you got Al Adams, you got the Wizards, Gus Williams. Man, can you take a moment to talk about Gus? We just lost him. He was my idol as a young man. We went to the same boys club, same high school. I was so happy that you guys drafted him and he was on the same team with you. I thought you guys were going to win another championship.
Well, we should have. We really should have won another championship. The biggest mistake they made was actually getting rid of Butch Beard, who was kind of a steadying force for us. And you don't screw with somebody. You have a championship team. You don't screw with the lineup. I mean, you just don't do that. And that really hurt us. But Gus was a great talent, no question about it. Obviously, had the great years playing with Seattle. They never should have gotten rid of him. I mean, it was crazy that they let him go. The Warriors made a big mistake, but the Warriors back in those days let a lot of players go. They let me go over 10,000 let Bernard King go. They let Robert Parrish go. They let Gus Williams go. I mean, come on, Jamal Wilkes left. I mean, what the hell? I mean, you start looking at the players that the Warriors let go, it just makes no sense whatsoever. And you wonder why they went when I left, they went 13 years without making the playoffs. So, but then they finally got the right people in place and they turned it around. But Gus was a great talent, amazing. Gus, very sensitive young man. I remember actually I was very I wasn't as hard on my teammates as Michael Jordan was. I heard stories about Michael and what he would do with his teammates, but I just I was hard on my guys, but only in practice in the games because I wanted to win. And so if I said something in practice or I said something in the game, as far as I was concerned, it was over with. You can't take it personally. It's a reaction to what's an unreal environment. It's a basketball game playing to try to win. It has nothing to do with life in general. I yell at you and tell you, Lowe's, you're an a-hole, whatever. What the hell are you doing? I mean, when I say that to you and I walk off the court, I'm not thinking about that anymore. I don't necessarily think you're an a-hole off the court, but on the court, what you did was stupid. And I have a hard time dealing with that. And so that really kind of happened with Gus and me. It was a game back, obviously he had all these people from Mount Vernon. We were playing in New York and Al had called a timeout. And the last thing he said, whatever you do, don't foul. Okay. So ball goes in play. Earl Monroe's on the team at the time for the Knicks. And Gus fouls him. I go up to Gus and I go, how can you be so blankety blank stupid? Okay. Now, okay, I said it. It was over with. It was done. I had no idea what an impact that had on Gus, that how personal he took that. I didn't find out. And then he was only, with us for the season and then he wound up leaving. Years later, I heard from somebody about that story. So I'm broadcasting the Sonics games, right? When I'm doing broadcasting for CBS, and we're doing the playoffs in Seattle. So I go up to Gus and I say, Gus, I just want to apologize. He says, what are you talking about? I says, well, remember in Madison Square Garden when I asked you, how can you be so blankety blank stupid? I said, yeah. I said, I had no idea how upset you were with me. If somebody had told me, I would have gone up to you after the game and apologized to you. I said, that wasn't personal. I mean, that was just part of the game. And so I was glad that I was able to get to do that. And then Gus and I stayed close. We would see each other all the time down in Myrtle Beach where he lived a lot. And we would play golf and play in the Monday after the Masters golf event. We, have lunch and get together every time I went back down there for that. And then all of a sudden, I'm calling him to do something. I can't get a hold of him. And I found out from somebody that he got ill and, went through some very difficult times. I'm not even going to get into some of the stuff I heard that was happening, how he was taken advantage of, which is really sad, breaks my heart. But I couldn't get a hold of him. I had no way to do it. I didn't know who to reach out to. And it's sad that he had to pass the way he passed, but a good person and a hell of a basketball player.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to miss Gus, man. I mean, I think I was the executive after my playing career, between the NBA and CBA, I became the executive director for the Boys and Girls Club of Mount Vernon. And Gus was at all our galas, all our golf outings. And we used to meet like once with some friends once a month in Jersey. And it was 2 weeks after our last dinner that we found out Gus was ill. And never seen him again. I mean, never was able to see him.
Yeah, well, it sounds like me. I had no idea how to get a hold of him. I kept trying to call people. And the stories I heard of what was happening, that he was really kind of taken advantage of, which was sad. I don't even know. Do you know? I don't even know why. I didn't even know what killed him. I have no idea what he died from.
Well, I know that he had, I think it was meningitis. Meningitis turned into a stroke. And so he had that stroke, and he was, that whole time period, he was in intensive rehab for all those years until he passed. Sad. Yeah, he's going to be truly missed. And before we get off here, you had one of the unique situations, the underhand free throw. I mean, everybody shot, I guess, the overhand. I mean, how did you come up with And your percentage, I mean, like what 89,
No, no,
90%?
I was actually being better than that. I changed my technique at the end of my career, and I brag about this because it's the only part of the game of basketball you can be selfish and help your team. I changed my technique. My last 6 years, I had the highest percentage anybody's had for a career. I shot over 92%. My last 2 years, I shot over 94% from the free throw line. I missed a total of 19 free throws, 9 in one season, 10 in another in my last 2 seasons. And I take great pride in that. What's astonishing to me is that how in the real world can an employee who's getting paid millions of dollars by his boss to tell his boss that he's not going to do something the boss wants him to do to help make him a better employee? And I'm referring to the fact that if a guy's a lousy free throw shooter, how in the world do you ask him to make a change? No, you should demand that he make a change. He should be told you need, and they should hire me or hire my son Canyon. They should hire us and teach him how to become a better free throw shooter to make him a better player, and not a request. No, a demand. I'm paying you millions of dollars. You need to do this, whether you want to or not. This is your job. Where in the world can you tell your boss you're not going to do what he wants to do and keep your job? It's stupid. I
You
can't wait
can't.
to see some general manager, some coach have enough guts or owner to demand that his player have to learn to shoot underhand free throws if they're a terrible free throw shooter, because they're costing their team games and potential championship. It's absolutely ludicrous that they allow these players to get away with that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we're living in a challenging time because you've had a certain set of experience. I've had a certain set of experience, and you want to be able to assist, uh, which I call old school foundational stuff, fundamentals, understanding of the game, right? That a lot of young players are not getting today, but they don't want to hear from you and I. So it's
Well, this is
unfortunate.
not here. This is not hearing from you and I. This is his boss.
Hmm.
Somebody's paying you millions of dollars, and he tells you that you need to do something for your job. How do you have the nerve, first of all, to tell him no, you're not going to do it, and then to get away with it?
Mm.
Think about it. It makes no sense whatsoever. None.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So talk to me about you get how many sons? Was it five,
I have
six?
5 sons. All 5 sons got Division I college basketball scholarships. All 5 of my sons, at one level or another, played professional basketball. The odds on that are so astronomical. It's ridiculous. I don't think ever in the history of sport has a father who became a Hall of Fame athlete in a particular sport had 5 sons to all follow in his footsteps, and all of them has success doing it. It's just pretty remarkable.
Oh, it is, without a doubt. And they could all play too.
Yep,
You
they
know.
could. I'm probably more disappointed now than my son Canyon, who just retired after finally getting a chance to be an Olympian. And sadly, Jimmer Fredette got hurt, and they didn't get a chance to medal at the Paris Olympics. But he became an Olympian. He's the only one, Barry, that did it. That's my biggest disappointment in my career, that I didn't get chosen for the Olympic team back in 1964. So I was so happy for my son to have that experience, and he's decided to retire. He was good enough to be in the NBA, and for whatever reason, they didn't give him an opportunity to do that, which made no sense to me. And this is not me talking as a father. Listen, as you said, one of the things I was honest. I tell the truth.
That's
If my
right.
son, if my son wasn't good enough to play, I would say my son's not good enough. Okay, but my son was good enough. I'll throw out just some statistics for you. You'll appreciate this as a player. So he's playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves G League team. He's playing 20 something minutes a game coming off the bench because they had two-way guys, which he didn't even get a two-way contract. So he's playing for the Timberwolves, averaging 13 points a game on 7 shots, which is a great ratio, shooting 48% from twos, 40% from threes, 85% from the free throw line. They had a first round draft pick during this time who was shooting 36% from twos, 26% from threes, and 60 something from the free throw line, making $7 million a year. And my son couldn't get a 10-day contract.
Wow.
So I mean, this is the kind of craziness that goes on sometimes. These general managers never want to admit they made a mistake. My son should have had the opportunity to play there. He would have been a great player, stay on a team. I mean, never been a problem, and could have contributed, I think, exceptionally well, because he's a brilliant young man. He's got his master's in nuclear engineering. He knows the game inside out, doesn't have any glaring weaknesses, and somebody I heard say, yeah, well, he wasn't that athletic. My son took all of the testing when they have the draft. They have guys go to Chicago and to Portsmouth, and they test them in 5 different areas: standing vertical, max vertical, agility, and 2 other things. I got the test results from Portsmouth, where he was, and the Chicago, where the projected first and second round draft picks were. If my son was in Chicago, he would have been first in standing vertical, second in max vertical, first in agility, first in another one, and second in another. He tested better than anybody else at both places. And somebody had the audacity to tell me he's not athletic. I mean, so this is the kind of stuff that goes on in professional sports that you don't really hear a lot about, that a lot of players are overlooked and not given the opportunity that they deserve, because the teams don't evaluate talent as efficiently as they should. And then they make their choices, and then the GMs don't want to admit that they made a mistake. Come on. If you made a mistake, you made a mistake,
Yeah.
Just try to put the right people on your team, because that's what it comes down to. It's not about the coach. You can have the greatest coach in the world. He's not going to win if you don't give him the right talent. I don't care. He may be better. The team may be a little better than they would have been if they had a bad coach, obviously, but they're not going to win the championship if you don't have the talent. You got to have the
Right.
talent first. So
Mm.
those are the kind of things that happen. But so I'm very disappointed, because I had so much joy that I got out of watching my kids play basketball. And for my son Canyon, it was incredible, because he made the commitment to go and do 3x3 on the world tour. Back when my other sons, my son John, my son Drew, played overseas a bunch too after he played in the NBA. And my son Scooter, who Larry Bird and McHale said, Rick, your son should have made our team. He was better than our #1 pick. But they had 13 no-cut contracts and 12-man
That's right.
rosters back then. And so he couldn't make it. So he played overseas till he was 40 years old. And, so every one of my boys had a chance to be able to play. But in Canyon's case, streaming with Tanakh technology. I got to see my son playing in Mongolia, in Abu Dhabi, in Puerto Rico. I got him seeing playing all over the world. It was unbelievable for me. I didn't have to go and fly overseas to get to see him play during their career. I got to watch all of his games on YouTube TV, because they streamed all the games. So it was such a joy for me to be able to sit and watch him play and not have to travel the world to do it. In fact, ironically, he played 5 years in 3x3, and they just missed out on qualifying for the Tokyo Olympics, which I told him, son, look, it's a blessing, because he got hurt 2 days before the qualifying tournament after they won the World Cup, which is the only gold medal the USA had never won in basketball, and his team went undefeated that they were on. And they didn't qualify for the Olympics for some ridiculous reason. And then he got hurt 2 days before the qualifying tournament, and they missed out by 1 game of making Tokyo. I said, look, if you had made that and got on that team, I said, that wasn't even a real Olympic experience because of COVID. So everything happens in life for a reason. So he had the opportunity to help them qualify for 2024, and did a great job doing that, and got to have that experience of becoming an Olympian. And so he played for 5 years all over the world. I never had seen my son play a 3x3 game in person until the Olympics, because
Wow.
the only time he played a couple of events here close by that were like the AmeriCups, where they won gold medals, but I was busy. I just couldn't make it. And so my first experience of watching my son play was at the Olympics. So that made it even more special for me to see him out there. And then, of course, he had 2 unbelievable games. He actually set a record, I think, for the most points scored by a player in one game. He had 15 of the 21 points in the game when they beat France, who wound up being the silver medalist. But Jimmer Fredette got hurt, and they had to play with only 3 guys, and they just kind of ran out of gas, and they missed by 1 game of getting to the medal round. So that was the only disappointing part of that. But just to see him, the joy that he had, and even in the opening ceremony when it was raining like crazy, got pictures of him standing with LeBron James and Coco, who were the flag bearers. And I mean, he just had such an amazing time. It was so cool. And I got to stay with my wife in the same hotel where he was staying in France, and
Awesome.
and get a chance to see that firsthand. As a parent, the one thing you wish in life, you just want all the best for your kids, and to see that happen to all my boys, that all of them have the experiences they had, truly, truly blessed.
Yeah, and my final two questions for you is your thoughts of. I see we got a picture of you and Steph Curry, and some of the things that you did, some amazing things with the Warriors. He's doing some amazing things with the Warriors. You both guys are both legends of the Golden State Warriors. I mean, give me your thoughts of it, of Steph.
Well, first of all, Steph is a great person. He does a lot of wonderful things, but as a player, never been a shooter like him. I have so much respect for him. I just saw him at Iguodala's jersey retirement, the All-Star weekend. Of course, I saw him as well. And in fact, I went up to him when Iggy's thing was, the jersey was being raised up. I went up. He was right there in front of me, so I walked up behind him. And I said, "I just hope that I'm alive when your jersey is hung up there." He smiled and laughed and all, but I just have enormous respect for Steph Curry. And I'm so happy to see this team all of a sudden getting a new life with Jimmy Butler playing exceptional basketball right now. If they keep playing at this level, they're going to be a very dangerous team come playoff time, especially if Kuminga comes back and gets to the level that he needs to get to. So I would not want to play against the Golden State Warriors if I'm a top seed in the Western Conference and I have to play the Warriors in the first round.
Wow. And then finally, I hear that you're still competitive,
Oh God,
right?
yes.
Pickleball.
Yeah. Yeah, well, here's the thing. People, say, "Do you miss playing? You miss basketball?" And I said, "No, I don't." And they look strangely at me. And I said, "No, I don't." I said, "Because I never think about it." I said, "Why would I want to think about the fact that I never again in my life will ever get to play the sport that I love so much and was such an integral part of my life and an important part of my life?" And so I just have the capacity to be able to back burner things, stick it on the back burner, don't think about them. But what I missed competing. I love to compete. Okay, always have loved to compete. And so I had to find something when I retired. So I found in tennis, I used to play tennis and was a really good tennis player, but it just got to be too hard on my body. So I got to be a really good golfer, like a one handicap golfer. And they said, "Well, why don't you try somebody said world long driving in golf." I said, "What the heck is that?" And so I found out about it. I went and trained. And so I wound up winning multiple world long driving championships in my age category. And then they eliminated all the old farts, and so I couldn't do that anymore. And so I said, "What the hell am I going to do now?" And my wife said, "Why don't you try pickleball?" And I said, "What is pickleball?" And when I found out about it and I went to play it, I said, "Wow, this is really cool." So I spent 2 years driving 2 hours in the morning to drive up to a place called the Villages in Florida, where they have so many great older pickleball players, some Hall of Famers and what have you. And I learned how to play the game. And once I felt I was good enough to be able to play in some tournaments, I was invited to play in a tournament by a really good player who was in his 50s. And so I went and played with him, and we won the tournament. I was in my 70s, he's in his 50s, and we won the 50-year-old tournament. And so that was kind of cool. And so I said, "Well, my goal is I'm going to try to win a national championship." I didn't play any singles because I was worried about my knee with no cartilage in it and how it would hold up. And after playing for a number of years and winning multiple world senior championships, and then in the U.S. Open pickleball and U.S. seniors, I won a lot of championships in men's doubles and mixed doubles. I decided last year that I was going to really challenge myself, and I tried to see if I could play singles and not have
There
my
you
knee
go,
rolled
right
up.
there.
Yeah, so I went and played. So I played singles last year, and there's 4 major tournaments that I play in. And there's a potential of winning triple crowns in all of them. So there's 12 gold medals that I was trying to go for. Now I had to rely on my partners because you're not going to win if your partner doesn't play well. My partners played well. I won. I won 11 of them, and my last one was a mixed doubles event at the U.S. Seniors in December. And sadly, we had beaten the team earlier in the tournament that we played in the gold medal round, and we wound up losing in the gold medal game. And I wound up with 11 of 12 gold medals. I was trying to set a record, Lowe's, because if I had gotten that last gold medal, it would have been a record that could never be broken. It can only
Wow.
be tied, right? And so, yeah, I love challenges. I'm going to try to see if I can make it happen again. I've got more competition in the singles because I wasn't really challenged much in the singles. at my age and skill level. And but there's a guy that just turned 80 who won the 75 to 79 U.S. Pickleball Senior Championship, Bob Costanza, who I know I'm going to have to go up against. And so I'll be challenged in the singles. So I'm going to try it again. As I say, you got to always set goals for yourself. But I love pickleball. I'm involved in a lot of stuff. Pickle Zone is another company I'm involved with that people should go check that out if you're into pickleball. But it's the fastest growing sport in the United States, maybe in the world right now. And very special sport that's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play. So I'm blessed that I'm still healthy enough to be able to do all that. In fact, I played pickleball yesterday morning. I got a pickleball game that somebody called me to play tomorrow afternoon. So I'll be out there and trying to win. I don't go out there. They say, oh, it's very social. I said, honey, I don't do social when it comes to I said, when I go out in the court, anytime if I'm going to go and play a sport and do something, I'm out there to compete and I'm out there to try to win. So, and golf to me has gotten to be, it's so difficult. Golf is the most difficult sport I ever tried to play. The better I got, the more frustrated I got, the more time it took to stay at one handicap and play at that level. And so I don't do as much as that because it's just too freaking mentally challenging. And so I do the pickleball. So that's my new thing. I've got my challenge in life. I can compete and life is awesome. So and I'm trying to enjoy my family and trying to enjoy my grandkids. I got 9 grandkids. My oldest son Scooter just had she had a baby girl she'll be 2 years old coming up here shortly. And so I'm just trying to enjoy them as much as I can. And also, my family and my wife. I have one of the greatest wives in the world right now. I'm so lucky.
So I want to say thank you, Rick, for joining me this morning, taking time out your busy schedule. I always knew you was competitive, right?
Oh, yeah. If you come to the Barry house and play games, do stuff and play Rummy Cube, and you can't even imagine how competitive even those games get.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm heading over to the Big East tournament at the Mohegan Sun. Man, I enjoyed this conversation. I would love to do it again and talk more about basketball because we need to hear it.
Hey, one thing about the women that you had on before I came on the show, I saw you were surrounded by all those women. So you probably had a really interesting show there with all those women that you had to deal with.
Yeah, they got a play next week. They're doing a play called Love Conquers All.
Okay, well, good. Well, love is a great thing in life. And I just said I'm a little concerned. She's waiting for March 15th. And March 15th is the Ides of March. I mean, the Ides of March is not known to be something great happening on the Ides of March, right? So hopefully it'll come out and be a positive thing for those ladies. And it's great that they're all together and friends and enjoying life. And God bless them with their play. And hope it works out well for them.
Yes, sir. So thanks, Rick. I appreciate you. I'll be in
take
touch.
Care. God bless. Bye.
God bless. Bye-bye. Wow. I hope you guys enjoyed the Blueprint podcast this week. I look forward to doing March Madness next week. I love you guys. Thank you for your support. And I say this each and every week. If God allow you to wake up tomorrow, make tomorrow your masterpiece. God bless you. And I'll see you next week.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.